Icelocked here with Nocturne Gaming, back with more Legends of Idleon, and today we're taking a look at how to clear Wave 200 in Goblin Gorfest. Before we get started with this build, there is one major requirement as well as a recommendation to make this build work. The requirement is that you have Slow Roast Wiz unlocked and upgraded from the Equinox clouds, as this gives a stacking damage buff up to 11% per second the longer your waves last. This gives us the damage that we need to be able to clear those late waves at like wave 190 and 200. My recommendation is related to your tower levels. Now, you can use this build at any point in the game. However, the higher your tower levels, the more likely you are going to be able to clear these waves. So to get to wave 190 and 200, you're going to want at least 90 in your Poisonic Elder, and possibly 100 or 110 would make this much easier. If you have things maxed out, 210 is possible. However, even with my towers, I would struggle to be able to do that at this point. The other towers that we're going to be using are Frozone Malone, the Stormcaller Tower, Party Starters, as well as the Kraken Cosplay. You do need to have Voidinator unlocked, but this does not need to be leveled up significantly, as we only need it for the buff that it gives by nullifying mob abilities. So with that being said, let's get started and summon the waves. As soon as we start, we're going to move up to the top row, and there is a major recommendation, which is going to be summoning a trash tower to use as a guideline. I use the cheapest thing I can, and then start by summoning 2 Poisonic Elders as quick as I can. This allows us to get the damage started, and then we delete the trash tower. After that, for some safety, we summon a Kraken Tower, and then we start summoning the next waves. If you have enough points, you can start summoning more towers. So at this point, I go ahead and put a Voidinator Tower out, and then start pushing the waves to get things moving along, as it does take quite a bit of time to be able to push up into the 90s and 100s, where this build really starts taking off. After that, I summon 2 more Poisonic Elders, and then we start working on our build that we need for the Slow Roast Wiz. This is going to be summoning a total of 3 Kraken Towers and then a Frozone Malone, and then continuing that out. So we're going to need a ton of towers. At this point, I do recommend putting up a Stormcaller Tower, as this allows us to start building up the crit chance as soon as we start doing our upgrades. So we're going to start upgrading our towers now, and the one thing to keep in mind is you can do this much earlier. I'm already at wave 40, and I do have the damage to do this, but you may need to upgrade these towers much sooner. We're going to start with our Poisonic Elders, upgrading this to level 5, and the first trait we're going to select is trait A. After that, we're going to continue upgrading each Poisonic Elder to level 10 and get trait B, so that we have trait A and B on each Poisonic Elder. The sooner you can do this, the safer the waves are going to be. So each of the 4 Poisonic Towers need to be at A, B, and level 10 as soon as possible to have enough damage to keep clearing these waves. Make sure you keep summoning your waves as much as you can to wave 10 at 10 at a time to benefit from the Slow Roast Wiz, as that's going to allow the damage to stack up and clear waves a little bit faster. Next, we're going to upgrade Stormcaller, and what we want on this is to have all trait Bs. So this is going to give you 20% crit chance per trait B that you have on all towers. This allows me to have 60% crit chance, which is a significant damage boost early in the game. Next up is going to be the Voidinator Tower, and we're also selecting trait B on this. Up to level 10 is ideal, and that gives you a total of 40% more damage to all of your towers. Next up, we're going to be looking at our Kraken Towers, and our goal here is to level them up to 10 at least. The first trait is going to be trait B to get the knockback. After that, level 10 is going to give you one more eyeball from the tower, or one more underling. And if you can get to level 15, that's going to give you +2 to each of your towers to have more eyeballs, which is going to give you a lot more safety and a lot more summoning speed. So keep in mind that every time you level this up, it is giving you speed on each of your towers. So that's why even one level on any of these towers is going to give you more survivability. So don't just wait until you have enough points to go to the next tier of 5 for these towers specifically. So upgrade all of your Kraken cosplayers, and let's move on to Frozone Malone. Level this up to 10 or 15 at this point, and we want trait A on all of these. So always trait A for Frozone Malone. At this stage, we're going to start summoning more towers, and we want to have 3 more Kraken towers. So we have 3 Krakens, a Frozone, and 3 more Krakens. These are going to follow the same upgrade path, so keep upgrading them BAA on your Kraken cosplayers. Next up, I recommend going down to the bottom, as this is where we want to summon our party starter towers. Start right next to the vine, and we want to summon as many party starters as we can, at least 3. 5 is what you're going to need to be able to complete this up to 190, so keep in mind. Let's start with the upgrades, and keep in mind that you do want to have 5 levels at a time on party starters, otherwise you get no benefit. The first trait is going to be trait A on these, all the way up until we have 3 A's on each party starter tower. This will change a little bit later in the guide, but for now we want A on everything to get the speed, as we are looking for speed caps on our Kraken cosplay towers to be able to make sure we always have eyeballs summoned, and that's going to give you basically invincibility to be able to clear these waves, and all we need is damage at that point. So we have all of our party starter towers at 3 A's, and now our speed on our Kraken cosplay towers is down to 0.40. For the kind of invincibility that we're looking for, we need to have our Kraken cosplay towers at 0.35. So we still need a little bit more speed, but we'll have to wait till a little bit later to get that, as we need more towers out. And we also need more points, and things start getting very expensive when you start upgrading at this point. At least 100,000 points for more towers, and it gets even more expensive past this. At this point, you should be around wave 1, around 80 to 100, depending on where your towers are at and where you can afford to upgrade your towers. But keep summoning 10 at a time, always 10 at a time, as the damage bonus is huge. Okay, so let's start upgrading some more of our towers. We're looking to upgrade our Poisonic Elders next, another 10 levels if possible. Same pattern, we want AB, AB for the first 4 traits on your Poisonic Elder towers. That's the pattern you're always going to follow, so AB, AB for your Poisonic Elders. The next thing we're going to be doing is upgrading our Voidinator towers and Storm Callers. Again, upgrade these one more time and get 1 more B on each of these towers if you can afford it. That gives you more crit chance and more damage. After that, we're going to be upgrading our Kraken cosplay towers to level 20 again, and we're going to be upgrading these to trait A. I made a mistake here and did upgrade a second B on that first tower, but ideally you want trait BAAA. This gives you all the traits that you need, so you only need that 25% knockback. So at this stage, we're going to start summoning more towers. Around wave 160, you want to have enough points, and this is going to be expensive. So we're going to summon our last 3 towers here, starting with a Frozone Malone tower costing 117,000 points right at the end of the line, and then 2 more Kraken Caller towers. These cost 200 and something thousand, and then another 750,000 for your last tower that you're going to need right at the end of the line. And this is going to complete our build. These towers are going to follow the same upgrade path that we had before. So Frozone Malones all have trait A, and then your Kraken Callers are going to be trait B, A. So make sure you do upgrade your towers around the stage to level 25 if you can afford it, but make sure you get all of your towers summoned first. So here we are upgrading the last of our towers to at least level 20. This is giving us enough speed and it's giving us enough defense to be able to last. With this setup using Kraken Cosplay towers and Frozone Malones, it's going to allow you to basically keep these mobs infinitely stuck, and this allows us to really benefit from the Slow Roast Wiz. So every second that's happening right now, we are getting more damage, and at this stage, the only other tower that we're really trying to get to is being able to upgrade the Stormcaller tower to level 25, which is going to give us a 100% crit chance. However, it is extremely expensive, and these waves will take a while. It may be around wave 170 or even 180 before you get that 100% crit chance, but that does basically guarantee you double the damage on all of your towers. So at this point, depending on where you're at in your waves, you may have to start using your Hunter abilities or your Beastmaster abilities. The main thing would be stop right there. If you have this leveled up enough, it is a significant amount of time that you're basically rooting these mobs. And then the way the eyeballs work is they're pushing back waves of these enemies at a time, as you can see them kind of shuffling backwards. This allows your eyeballs enough chance to keep moving the mobs all the way back, and it allows you to keep it in range of your poison towers as much as possible to speed these waves up. Now, you can survive if they do get to the end. However, you start being out of range of your Poisonic Elder towers. So we do have Stormcaller at level 25 now at wave 170. And our next goal is going to be upgrading our Poisonic Elders to level 25. However, they are expensive as well. So we will get back to that in a little bit. So at this stage, we're going to upgrade our Poisonic Elders to level 25, and we're looking for trait B. This is going to give us A, B, and then your fifth trait being B. This gives us more tick chance on our poison clouds, which gives us more damage overall. Now, one thing to note here, as you can see, watch the damage. Every second, we're getting more damage. So currently, this is with 5% damage on our Slow Roast Wiz, and that's giving us 5% more damage every second. So as you can see, it continues to tick up, and your damage will get kind of ridiculous. And these waves will take sometimes 15, 20, even 30 minutes for a single wave and on up. At the later parts of this tower defense, there is a time cap, so a specific wave can only last for 2 hours. After 2 hours, all of the mobs disappear and you basically fail. Even though you don't necessarily fail, it's just it prevents you from being able to complete the waves and get credit for having wave 200 plus. So just keep in mind that if you do happen to get to the 2 hour mark, that's not going to work, and that is the biggest limitation of using this particular setup. At some point, you just don't have enough damage. So this is going to be a very long tower defense to be able to push to these very high wave counts, but it is worth it for the bonuses that you get. So at this stage, we are waiting on wave 190 to complete. So at this point in the game, this is the last time that you're going to be spending points until you get to wave 200 at the end of wave 200 when the bosses are all that's left. You want to save all of the points you get from clearing waves 181 through 190 and 191 until all you have is bosses left. This is going to be for a DPS switch later in the game, so keep in mind that you do want to save up all of your points at this stage. Ideally here, I have a level 24 tower. I'm going to spend the extra 100,000 points that I get to get level 25 on this Poisonic Elder. And after that, we're just going to be saving points all the way till the end of this guide. So at wave 200, we're going to make a big swap. And the more points that you have, the more successful it's going to be. So once your build's complete at this stage, hold on to your points. If you have a few million points, you're doing good at wave 200. So So here we are at the end of wave 200 with 12 enemies left. So this is 2.5 hours in to get to this stage, and we have a few enemies left with 60 trillion health. To be able to do enough damage within the 2-hour time limit, we're going to have to make some changes. So this is going to be removing some of the old towers and placing some new towers. It's important that we remove old towers first, as this reduces the cost of placing new towers. So at the very end of the line, we're going to get rid of a few towers right off the bat. We want the Kraken towers and the Frozone Malones until we have just the front line of Krakens left, the Frozone and a Kraken. So we are going to end up removing 2 more Krakens. So if you have enough stability and you think you can survive, you can go ahead and remove those 2 extra Krakens. And then I also made a mistake here and did not remove the Voidinator, as that's unnecessary at this stage. But the first new tower we're going to place is going to be the Lightning Caller tower, and then a few more party starter towers. This is going to give us more damage and a little bit more speed depending on how we upgrade it, but mostly more damage. Now we do need the extra damage because we're going to be getting rid of the Void Caller tower, but our main goal here is going to be the Storm Caller tower. We want trait A's on all of the upgrades on this. This is going to give us a lot more damage, and if we have all of this extra damage, that's basically 1,000% more damage to every mob below 60% health. This is giving us a very fast attack speed, and it has about 10 times more damage than the Poisonic Elder does. Granted, the Poisonic Elder does attack faster, so there is that. If you can afford the towers, it isn't worth selling the Void Caller tower, as it does give us a damage bonus, but if not, we can go ahead and take the bonuses from the party starter towers. For this, we want 3 more speeds and then 2 more damages, so 3 A's and 2 B's on our party starter towers. That's going to give us the most speed to speed up the Stormcaller and Poisonic Elder towers, and it's also going to give us more damage. So with 4 B's, that's giving us 60% damage, which can make up for the Void Caller tower, but if you can afford it, it's better to leave it alone. So make sure you have a plan going into it at this stage. So more damage, more speed. As we kill off a few of the mobs, we can get rid of a few more Krakens if we need to and summon more Poisonic Elders, but we need to wait until we have less mobs to do that. Around 6 is ideal, as there is a few smaller mobs left in this pack. So as we get to that, we're going to be able to get rid of some more Kraken towers, which will allow us to summon a few more Poisonic Elders a little bit cheaper. So that's where we're at currently. So we have 6 enemies left, and this is what your final setup should look like. All of these towers follow the order as I've already told you about. So you want A, B, B for all 5 traits on your Poisonic towers. So we sold 2 more Krakens, 2 more Poisonics down. Everything else looks about the same, and at this stage, it's just a waiting game. This is about another 20 minutes past when we made our initial changes to our setup, and in 20 minutes, we've gone down about 25 trillion health, but now we have less mobs that we're dealing damage to, so this is where things just are going to take a while. This is probably still going to take another half hour to an hour to be able to complete these last mobs, and we're just waiting on the damage to tick up. So, you know, grab a drink, whatever you need to do. At this point, you're safe as long as you can get enough damage to be able to take out the 35 trillion health that you have left at this stage. So here we are at the end of the run with about 100 billion HP left on these ridiculous mobs, but there is one big note to be aware of, and that is when you complete Wave 200. Congratulations, by the way, but when you complete Wave 200, to be able to lock this in, you need to make sure Wave 201 spawns. This will take you an extra 20 20 seconds, maybe a minute to do this, but ideally you speed this up, you get wave 201 to spawn, and then you let the mobs kill you. To do this, you want all of your towers to be deleted at the very bottom. You want your Krakens and your Frozone Malones to go away. You can sell your other towers if you want to. You're not going to kill these mobs very quickly, but once you actually get to this stage, trash your towers, let the mobs kill you, and that's going to lock it in, and you'll have that 200 locked in. Now, another note to mention, if your towers are extremely high level and you have enough damage to be able to do this, then you don't want to do the DPS method on wave 200. You want to wait until you're at the end of wave 210, where you only have the boss mobs left on 210. You won't be able to get enough points to be able to survive waves 201 through 210 and make another DPS setup. So make your choice depending on your towers, but definitely don't do both. So at this stage, the mobs will kill me in any minute now, and we'll get our rewards from the tower. And there we go. We have officially locked in wave 200. We get our rewards. And as you can see, we are at 2.61 million souls and 389,000 experience on a hunter. So that is a lot of souls and a lot of experience that you can get for all of your characters. If you're using your wizard-based classes, it's going to be a lot more souls and experience, but at least for every character that can claim souls, it's a little over 2 million souls, which is a huge gain for the amount of forest souls that you have, not to mention the other bonuses from things like the MSA Totalizer. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button and drop a comment if you're enjoying our videos. And a huge shout out to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. If you would like to become a patron, check out the link in the description for more details. And be sure to visit our merch store to get some pretty cool stuff. If you have any thoughts or questions, let us know down below, and we'll see you next time.